Hey everyone, and welcome to this tutorial. We're going to paint this cute little ghost. If you've purchased my kit, you're going to have some brushes already on hand, you're going to have some paints, and then the sketch on your canvas already. So let's get started. So I want to do the background very nice and light. I don't want to pull too much attention to it. So I am going to pull and do mostly whites and creams just to go with a very fall theme. And you'll see I'm not really cleaning my brush that much as I'm going down. I'm leaving some of the colors so it just looks nice and planned and rough. So I'm gonna do this the whole way around, so I'm gonna speed up my video and then I'll see you at the end. All right, so I was going up and down before, and as I'm getting closer to my bottom, I am gonna go a little bit darker and I'm gonna change direction. I'm going to actually mix a little bit of black into my brown just so it's just a hair darker. I'm just going to mix this in. I'm even going to pull this color up. Behind the shoe area. And I'm okay if I'm going into the shoes just a little bit. It's the fun thing about watercolor, not watercolor, acrylic, is you can paint over things. I mostly paint with watercolor, but I find acrylic a lot more forgiving. Okay, I'm just going to finish up with some shadows under here. Bringing up this darkness over here a little bit. Okay, and then I recognize that I have left a section that I need to do over here. Again, I'm not too worried if I go over my lines that much. Trying to get, there we go. Okay, so with this color as well, we don't have to just stick with the colors that we have. We can mix in different tones in our background. We can really just make this our own. It kind of looks like a marble almost. Just adding in different shades. Just have fun with this and play around with your colors. It just kind of breaks up the brown as well. Add a little bit of that color down here. Okay, I'm pretty happy with my background. And a little bit of water right here. And so I'm pretty happy with my background. I really don't want it to be my main focus at all. I'm going to clean off my brush. I'm going to grab my napkin, make sure it's all clean. And then I'm going to get started on the actual ghost itself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a nice mixture of whites. Oops. And I want to just kind of shadow as I go. So I'm painting over my sketch, putting down some white. The canvas is already white, so this part I'm just doing because I like to just mix my colors on my actual canvas. So I'm coming along. So what we do when we paint with white, we have to just focus on the shadows because obviously the canvas is white, white is white. So we have to focus on the shadows. So the shadows are going to be some nice light gray colors. And then what we're going to do is we're going to come along with these darker shadow colors. And we don't want to completely cover this ghost with all gray, otherwise you're going to have a really dull painting. But what we want to do is just make it look as though there's some creases on the dress, some lines coming up, and you can mix in a little bit of blue here. And this is why I have the white down as well, because if it is too dark, I can just blend the white that's already down. I'm going to blend this out. See how it makes it just so much softer and not as bright. I don't have any white in this corner, so I'm going to pull some white. I'm going to introduce a little bit of blue. Blue is also a really nice shadow color. I really enjoy painting with blue. Coming around the face a little bit, around the corner. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave it like this for now. I can always come in and make my shadows darker or lighter as I go, but I want to make sure that I don't get too carried away with what I have. Just coming around, making my lines a little bit more crisp. There's some white now. So I'm going to leave that in a sec. Ah! Okay, I just dropped my brush, so I'm going to come in and just blend this out. Luckily I had some white in my background, so I can just blend that out. Not a big deal. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my smaller brush and I'm going to paint the bottom here. So with my small brush, I'm going to mix up a darker brown. So it's just some black and some brown. I'm going to fill out the little boots. I'm going to bring in some white, and I'm going to make it light in the middle. I'm going to grab some dark, and I'm going to fill out the other edges, just to give it some nice light contrast and some dark and some shadows, so all doesn't look the same. So I'm going to come in with my dark color. I'm going to come in with a little bit of white in my middle. And I'm going to come in with that dark color again and do my other side. And then I'm going to paint my boot. I'm just bringing that other color into my boot just a little bit. Okay, I'm going to come in here now. Doing the other side. Bringing that other shade of brown in here. I have to bring this darker color in this boot as well. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want there to be a little bit of dark towards the bottom of the soles. It's not dark enough. And then I'm going to come in with a little bit of white and just give it a little bit of a highlight. I can come in with a nice brown and create some laces if I'd like. If you'd like to do that as well, you can, or you can just leave the boot. Okay, I am gonna mix a little bit of a highlight, a little bit of a shine right in here towards the top, or I guess the front of the boot. So it looks like it's got a little bit of shine on there. And then what I'm going to do next is I'm going to work on my little pumpkin. Add a little bit of red into the mix from my kit. And I'm going to paint my pumpkin. I've painted so many pumpkins this season, but this is my first time painting a pumpkin with acrylic. So I approached this a little bit different than how I would with watercolor. I'm just putting down my first layer. And with watercolor, I usually take it groove by groove, so I can get the most definition within my grooves. But with watercolor, I can throw down my color, and then I can shadow, I can lighten, I can do all sorts of things, which you can't really do with watercolor. Okay, and now I'm gonna apply my little stalk, little brown stalk. Add a little bit of darkness. Okay, so like I said, I can do things a little bit different. So I just mixed in a little bit of lighter white into my orange for my highlight. And then with the darker orange, I'm just going to mix in some brown into my darker orange. And this can be for my grooves. Even shadow a little bit of my bottom here with that color. And then, the complementary color is blue, but I want to go a little bit darker with my blue. So I just mixed in a little bit, actually a little bit of gray. And I'm going to come in, fill out my little bow right here. So when you fill out your first layers, I at least find that I will have a better idea of how much detail I want to put into my painting. But if I just sit and I fixate on one area, I have a lot harder time with that. So I do like to move and jump around a little bit. So this would be my first layer. I would go back in here and I would add a little bit more shadows and stuff, but I am gonna wait until that one's a little bit more dry. Okay, so the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna mix a little bit of a pink. So I'm just gonna mix some white in with my red for my little cheeks. I'm gonna mix some black for the eye. And yes, I did just cover my shine area, but that's because I can just freehand. If you feel uncomfortable with freehanding, just leave that little curve that I left inside of the eye. And then we could do our little smiley face. But I can come in and add a little bit of a shine. Within the eyes, I am gonna do, I think it'd be really cute to add little flicks for eyelashes. And I'm debating in my head. At first when I started painting this, I thought I'm gonna do a nice bow right here to kind of match here, but I think I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna do a red bow. That was really hard for me to decide. Oh, maybe I should make it bigger, so it's more of like a statement bow. You can really have fun with this. Like you can even add little designs onto your bow. So I just mixed, I'm trying to make my red a little bit darker here so I can have a little bit of shadow. So I just mixed a little bit of black into my red with a little bit of blue. I can even add a bit of a highlight. All right, and then back to my blue. Again, I have to add a little bit of shadow here. So just mixing in that darker color that I just had. I'm gonna come in. Just don't want it too dark where it just stands out a little bit too much. So I'm coming around, coming inside, creating some flicks, which would make this little knot stand out. I also just need a highlight. There needs to be some type of contrast here. So I'm gonna come in, create a nice highlighted area. I'm gonna highlight right in here. And I just mixed in a little bit of white. And even just the simplest little touches here just will really make your painting stand out. So don't be afraid to just add your shadows, to add your darkness, to add your darker colors, to come in and do second layers as well can really change your piece. Have fun with it. You can even add some fun designs like little polka dots on a bow. If I had more time, I would add like a little bat bow. I think that would look really cute. Maybe just do like a little bit of polka dots on this bow. Just have fun with this. Make it your own. That's so cute. And then going back to my ghost, so see how before it looked a little odd and add a shape? Now it really doesn't that much because I've been able to add other layers and stuff. So that's why I always suggest is move on. And now at this point, you can just add like little shadows as you go. I'm gonna add some nice curves to the bottom here. So it looks like there's some flow within the dress, the cape. And I'm just doing like little ovals. I can really try to emphasize some shadows. I can even bring in some of that brown because white absorbs the color around it. So you can bring in some of that color as well. But yeah, have fun with this. I'm pretty happy with my shadows and everything. I'm just shadowing this little area right in here. Making different areas really stand out. I'm gonna add a little bit of white right here. I feel like I went a little bit too dark with my brown. Okay, so I do want to make this, I don't know, I want to put a little bit more love and detail into it. So I'm going to create a little sign. So I'm going to come in, I'm going to paint a little wooden sign, the circular bottom of the end. I'm going to create a rectangle right here. And just like anything else, it always looks better when you add a little bit of shadow, you add a little bit of highlight. So I'm adding a little bit of black into my brown. I'm gonna add a little bit of white. And I'm just gonna leave this a minute or two just to kind of dry. And then I'll create the final detail. Another thing I want to add is a bat. So I'm gonna mix a little bit of a softer gray. And I'm gonna have this sketched out for you guys, but I'm gonna freehand it. I'm gonna create his little body. And then I'm gonna create a curve. I'm gonna create another curve. I'm gonna create another curve, and then another curve. And if you're wondering if I'm worried I'm gonna mess it up, the answer is yes. I'm very worried there, but one wing is done. Okay. Almost done actually. Just need to connect it over here a little bit more. Okay, let's see if I can do it on the other side. I need a little bit more water on my brush. Okay, curve, and then another curve. I'm gonna add a little bit more black around the outer parts of my bat. I might need to let this dry a couple minutes. So I'm gonna just grab my dryer really quick so that I can move on to my other parts of my painting. So now I'm just gonna grab some black. And I feel like I wanna add a little baby one. Okay, now I'm just really trying to make this harder for myself here. I feel like a little baby bat would be really cute. Okay, this wing is a little bit smaller than the other side. I'm gonna add a little bit of gray in here. Okay, cute. And then for my sign, I did want to do it pink. I'm going to write the words boo. But because this is a very cutesy ghost, I wanted to do it white, pink, sorry. And again, I'm just adding some shadows around my words. Let me get some white. Just really get creative. So I'm really happy with how this has turned out. The only thing is this little guy needs to have a little bit more shadow for an arm. I'll have its little arm be right here. Okay, so you will have a sketched out part. So from one side of the sketch, you're going to want it to be nice and light and untouched, and then we're going to have a shadow right underneath. So all I'm doing here is just emphasizing that there's going to be a hand right here. I got to drag this out. So this part will be nice and shadowed. I'm going to let that part dry. It's a little too dark. And I'm going to put some white over it, and then right in here as well. And then I'm going to grab some white, and then I'm going to put it right over top here as if there's a little hand holding the sign. And what I have to do now is just dry it. So I'm just fixing the parts where I was just a little bit too dark for the hand, just putting some white over it. That's what I love about acrylic. You can just literally paint over top and it looks great. And I'm just painting some more white over here. And now we have a little hand holding the sign. Might make the hand a little bit bigger since the ghost is pretty big. I'm gonna make the sign a little bit bigger too down here. Okay, and there we have it. I have my cute little ghost. I've made it very festive, and have fun with this. Make it your own. If you want to check out my other videos, please do that. Please like and subscribe. I would love to paint with you again. Happy painting!